What if I told you that everything you've been taught about getting rich is only half the story? We talk about investment strategies, compound interest, passive income streams, side hustles, and yes, all of that matters. But nobody wants to have the honest conversation about what you actually have to give up to get there. The uncomfortable truth is that wealth is not just about what you do. It is about what you stop doing, what you walk away from, and what you willingly hand over in exchange for a financially free future. Today, we are going to have that conversation. 7 sacrifices, real ones, the kind that will make you uncomfortable, maybe even a little defensive, because they hit close to home for most people. And if you stick with me through all 7, I promise you will walk away with a completely different understanding of why some people build generational wealth and others stay stuck, earning and spending in the same cycle for decades. Let us get into it. Sacrifice number 1 is your current identity. This one catches people off guard because we never talk about wealth building as an identity problem. But here's the thing. Your financial situation right now is not just a reflection of your income or your expenses. It is a reflection of who you believe yourself to be. If you grew up in a household where money was always tight, where the conversation around finances was filled with stress and scarcity, where people you respected said things like, "Money does not buy happiness," or "Rich people are greedy," then you absorbed an identity around money. You became someone for whom financial struggle feels normal and financial success feels foreign or even morally suspicious. Here's why this matters so much. Identity drives behavior. When you believe deep down that you are not the type of person who builds wealth, every good financial habit you try to develop will feel like wearing someone else's clothes. It fits awkwardly, it feels unnatural, and eventually you take it off and go back to what feels like you. This is why so many people who receive sudden windfalls, lottery winners, inheritance recipients, end up back at square one within a few years. The money changed, but the identity did not. So the sacrifice here is surrendering the story you have been telling yourself. The story that says you are bad with money. The story that says wealth is for other people. The story that says wanting financial abundance is somehow selfish or greedy. You have to be willing to kill off that version of yourself and consciously step into a new one. And yes, this is uncomfortable. People around you might notice the change. They might push back. Some will call you different, arrogant, or like you think you're better than them. That resistance is actually a sign that you are doing it right. Sacrifice your old financial identity. It has already cost you enough. Sacrifice number 2 is the approval of people who are not where you want to be. Let's be brutally honest about something. The people whose opinions you care about most, your friends, your family, your coworkers, your social circle, the majority of them are probably not financially free. They're probably living paycheck to paycheck, carrying credit card debt, trading time for money with no real exit strategy. And yet, without realizing it, you are making financial decisions based on what those people will think of you. You do not start the business because your cousin will say you are crazy. You do not cut back on going out because your friends will think you have become boring. You do not talk about investing or building wealth because your coworkers will roll their eyes and tell you to stop dreaming. The social pressure to stay financially average is one of the most powerful and least discussed forces working against you. Think about the concept of the crabs in a bucket mentality. You probably know it. When crabs are in a bucket, none of them escape because whenever one tries to climb out, the others pull it back down. They are not doing it out of malice, it is just instinct. And the people in your life who subtly or not so subtly discourage your financial ambitions are often not doing it out of malice either. It is just that your growth threatens their comfort. If you succeed, it forces them to confront what they have not done. It is easier for everyone if you stay put. The sacrifice is choosing your financial future over their temporary comfort and approval. This does not mean abandoning the people you love. It means becoming internally immune to their skepticism. It means making financial decisions based on your goals, not their opinions. Some relationships will survive this shift. Some will not. The ones that do will be stronger for it. Sacrifice number 3 is short-term pleasure for a long-term positioning. This is the sacrifice everyone technically knows about, but very few people actually make in any consistent, meaningful way. And the reason most people fail at this one is not a lack of willpower. It is a lack of understanding about how dramatically delayed gratification compounds over time. Here's a number to sit with. If a 25-year-old takes $300 a month that they would have spent on entertainment, dining out, impulse purchases, and unnecessary subscriptions, and instead invests that into an index fund with a historically average return, by the time they are 65, they would have accumulated well over $1 million from just that one habit. $300 a month. That is less than $10 a day, the price of a couple of coffee drinks and a takeout meal. Now, that sounds simple when you lay it out like that, and yet the vast majority of people will not do it. Why? Because the pleasure of spending is immediate and the reward of investing is distant and abstract. Your brain is literally wired to overvalue things in the present and undervalue things in the future. This is called hyperbolic discounting, and it is baked into human psychology. The sacrifice of short-term pleasure requires you to work against your own neurological defaults, which is why it is genuinely hard and why people who master it deserve real credit for it. The practical move here is not to deprive yourself of every enjoyment. Extreme deprivation is unsustainable, and it leads to financial binging where you overcompensate later. Instead, the sacrifice is about building a hierarchy of pleasures. You prioritize the pleasures that build your future, learning, investing, building skills, building assets, and you ruthlessly cut the ones that give you a momentary hit but leave nothing behind. Every dollar you spend is either building your future or funding your past. There is no neutral spending. Every choice is either momentum or friction. Sacrifice number 4 is the 40-hour comfort zone. Here's the reality that most financial advice dances around because it makes people uncomfortable. If you are spending every working hour of your life trading time for a fixed salary and then spending every non-working hour consuming entertainment, you are on a treadmill. You are running constantly and going absolutely nowhere. The traditional employment model was never designed to make you wealthy. It was designed to make you useful. There is nothing wrong with employment. Most people need it, especially in the beginning. But if your entire wealth-building strategy is to work hard, get promoted, earn more, and spend more, you are on a path to a very comfortable form of financial mediocrity. You might retire eventually, you might have a nice house and nice things, but you will not have true financial freedom. You will always need that next paycheck. The sacrifice here is giving up the safety and simplicity of the 40-hour comfort zone. This means spending time outside your job hours building something. It could be a business. It could be an investment portfolio. It could be developing a marketable skill that eventually creates an additional income stream. The point is that the hours between when you get home from work and when you go to sleep are the most valuable hours you have right now. How you use them will determine whether you stay on the treadmill or eventually step off it. This sacrifice is particularly brutal because those after-work hours are when you are tired, when every instinct is telling you to decompress, to watch something, to scroll through your phone. And look, rest is real, and recovery matters. But there's a difference between intentional rest and default consumption. Most people are not resting in those evening hours. They are numbing. They are choosing immediate entertainment over future freedom. The people who build wealth from nothing make a different choice with those hours, consistently, for years. That consistency is the sacrifice. Sacrifice number 5 is your financial ego. This is the silent wealth killer that nobody talks about at dinner parties. Your financial ego is the part of you that needs to look wealthy before you are wealthy. It is the part that buys the expensive car on a lease to impress people you barely know. It is the part that upgrades to a bigger apartment or house, not because you need the space, but because it signals status. It is the part that picks up the tab at the restaurant because you want people to perceive you as successful. There is a fascinating paradox at the heart of consumer culture, and it is this. The behaviors that make people appear wealthy are often the exact behaviors that prevent them from becoming wealthy. The luxury vehicle, the designer clothes, the lavish vacations posted on social media, these things drain cash flow and consume capital that could be building real assets. Meanwhile, many genuinely wealthy people are famously understated in their spending. This is not just a stereotype. Research consistently shows that a significant portion of high net worth individuals drive ordinary cars, live in modest homes relative to their income, and avoid the status signaling that most people associate with financial success. The sacrifice of your financial ego means being willing to look ordinary while you are building something extraordinary. It means letting people think you are not doing as well as you actually are, or even that you are doing worse than you could afford to appear. It means measuring your success internally by your net worth, your investment portfolio, your passive income, not externally by what others see in your lifestyle. This is genuinely hard in a world that equates visible spending with success, but the people who master this sacrifice are the ones who quietly build real wealth while others perform the appearance of it. Sacrifice number 6 is your relationship with time. Wealthy people and average people both get the same 24 hours. You've heard this before. But let me take it deeper than the motivational poster version, because the issue is not just about how many hours you work or how productive you are. The real issue is whether you have internalized the understanding that time is your single most finite and therefore most valuable resource, and whether your daily decisions actually reflect that understanding. Most people intellectually agree that time is valuable, but their actual behavior tells a completely different story. They spend hours on social media without any intentional purpose. They spend evenings watching multiple episodes of shows without it contributing anything to their goals. They procrastinate on high-leverage activities and stay busy with low-impact tasks that feel productive but do not actually move the needle. This is not laziness. This is a fundamentally broken relationship with time. Here's a useful mental exercise. Assign an hourly value to your time based on where you want to be financially, not where you are today. If your goal is to earn $300,000 a year eventually, your time is worth roughly $150 an hour. Now ask yourself, is what I'm doing right now worth $150 an hour? Is this meeting? Is this scroll session? Is this task I could delegate or automate? When you start filtering your time through the lens of your aspirational hourly rate, you make radically different decisions. You cut meetings that produce no outcomes. You automate or outsource tasks that are below your target value. You stop doing activities that cost you more in time than they return in value, progress, or meaningful rest. The sacrifice of your current relationship with time means giving up the comfortable illusion that you can afford to be careless with it. You cannot. No one can. The wealthy are simply the people who figured that out earlier. Sacrifice number 7 is the certainty of safety. This last one might be the most important of all, and it is the one that stops more wealth-building journeys before they ever begin than anything else on this list. Because at every single decision point that could meaningfully change your financial trajectory, starting a business, making a significant investment, making a calculated risk on a new opportunity, there will be a version of safety available to you, a safer option, a more comfortable choice, a path with less uncertainty. And your brain will dress that safer option up as wisdom. It will call it responsibility, prudence, or being realistic. But in many cases, it's just fear with a respectable costume on. I want to be clear about something. I'm not talking about reckless risk-taking. I'm not saying you should bet your rent money on speculative investments or quit your job tomorrow with no plan. Smart wealth building actually involves a lot of risk management and strategic thinking. The risks that create wealth are calculated, researched, and entered with a clear understanding of the downside. That's completely different from gambling. What I'm talking about is the habit of never stretching beyond your comfort zone, of always choosing the option that keeps you exactly where you are because at least you know where you stand. That habit is not safety, it's a slow financial death. Every year you stay in that zone is a year of compounding that you have surrendered. Every opportunity you passed on because of fear is a door you closed that might not reopen. The sacrifice here is handing over your attachment to certainty. It is accepting that any path to meaningful financial growth involves periods of discomfort, uncertainty, and the genuine possibility of failure. The most financially successful people you can name, in business, in investing, in building any kind of real asset, every single one of them has a story of a bet they made when the outcome was not guaranteed, a leap they took before they could see the ground. The difference between them and the average person is not that they were fearless, it is that they made the sacrifice anyway. Now let us bring this together, because these 7 sacrifices are not independent of each other. They form a system. Your identity determines how seriously you take this list. Your freedom from others' approval gives you the space to actually act on it. Your willingness to delay gratification funds the journey. Your use of the after-work hours creates the momentum. Your financial ego going quiet removes the wealth-destroying drain of performative spending. Your new relationship with time ensures that the rare and precious hours you have are being used on things that compound. And your surrender of false safety is what allows all of it to actually go somewhere meaningful. Here is what most people do when they consume content like this. They watch it, they nod along, they feel genuinely motivated for somewhere between a few hours and a couple of days, and then life happens, and the friction of real change sets in, and the motivation fades, and they go back to exactly what they were doing before. I do not want that to happen to you. So let me give you one concrete action for each sacrifice before we close out. For sacrifice 1, write down 3 beliefs about money you absorbed growing up that might be working against you. Identify them. Name them. Naming them takes away some of their invisible power over your decisions. For sacrifice 2, think about the 1 or 2 people whose financial opinions influence you the most. Ask yourself honestly whether their own financial results give them the authority to be that influential in your mind. If the answer is no, start consciously reducing the weight you give their perspective. For sacrifice 3, find one recurring expense in your life that brings you less genuine joy than you tell yourself it does, and redirect that money toward an investment this month. Just one. Start there. For sacrifice 4, block out 5 hours this week, in the evenings or on a weekend, and dedicate them to something that could generate income or build value in the future. 5 hours. That's all to start. For sacrifice 5, identify one upcoming purchase you are planning to make primarily for how it will look to others rather than for what it will actually add to your life. Cancel it. Put that money toward your net worth instead of your image. For sacrifice 6, track exactly how you spend your time for the next 72 hours, every hour. Then, look at the data honestly and identify where your time is going that is not producing anything you actually value. For sacrifice 7, think about one calculated risk or opportunity you have been avoiding primarily out of fear of uncertainty. You do not have to take the leap today, but start researching it seriously this week. Understand the actual downside. Often, when you look at the real numbers, the risk is far more manageable than the anxiety in your head has made it seem. Wealth is not a mystery. The principles are not complicated. What makes it rare is that it demands sacrifices that most people are not willing to make. And the hardest part about these sacrifices is that they are not dramatic, public, one-time events. They are quiet, Daily, repeated choices made in moments when no one is watching and when the easier path is always right there available to you. Every time you choose the harder path in those moments, you are building something. Not just a bank account, a version of yourself that can hold and grow wealth because you have become the kind of person who makes these sacrifices naturally without even thinking about it anymore. That's where wealth actually lives, not in a particular stock pick or a perfect business idea. It lives in who you have become by the time those opportunities find you. And every sacrifice on this list is another step toward becoming that person. If this video gave you even one shift in how you think about building wealth, drop a comment and tell me which sacrifice hit you the hardest. I read every single comment and I genuinely want to know what landed for you. And if you know someone who needs to hear this today, a friend, a family member, someone you care about who is stuck in that cycle we talked about, share this with them. Sometimes a different voice saying the same truth at the right moment changes everything. I will see you in the next one. Like, comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss more videos helping you with investing, personal finance, and more. Check out this playlist of my top videos of personal picks, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.